Well, here we have a question from Luisito Arturo from Mexico. What does it say? Well, first of all, the brother says, I believe in God, the creator of the universe, and I have no religion. Why don't you have a religion? It means I believe in God, but I do not follow God. It is hypocrisy. A person says, I know that God is wise, God is the creator, but I abandon God. It is a betrayal. It is hypocrisy, dear brother, to say that God is wise. God knew that if He leaves me, I will be lost in this world. Either you have to say God is not wise, which is false, or you have to accept God, then you have to accept God's religion, which is God's way. What is God's way? Go investigate. So sincerity requires you to go seek the way of God. Then you cannot say that you believe in God and do not believe in religions. That is the first point. Secondly, it says, what are Shia and Sunni? Shia means follower. Sunni means one who follows the conduct. But follower of whom and conduct of whom? How they present themselves is one thing. How they are is another thing. First, let's see how the Shia present themselves, how the Sunnis present themselves. The Shia say we are those who follow the Quran and Ahlul Bayt, the family of the Prophet, starting with Ali and Fatima, ending with Imam Mahdi, 12th Imam. And we are those who out of love for Ahlul Bayt mourn for them. For example, we mourn for the martyrdom of Ahlul Bayt. We will be joyful for their religion. We visit their graves. We believe in the government of just scholars. We believe in Waliya Faqih. We believe in the coming of Imam Mahdi. The Shia are this. I am Shia. Who are the Sunnis? The Sunnis say we are the true Muslims. We follow the Quran. We follow the Sunnah of the Prophet of Islam, the conduct and words of the Prophet Muhammad. For us, Sahabatul Kiram, Salafus Salih, the faithful companions of the Prophet, are examples of life. So, for them who are the sacred, the companions, the Sahaba. Starting with Abu Bakr, the best Sahaba, then Lord Omar, the second best Sahaba, who in Sunni sources says, if the Messenger of God wanted to present a prophet after himself, he would present Umar ibn Khattab. This is stated in the book Tarikhul Khulafa by the great Sunni scholar Suyuti. Then they say, after that we believe in Usman, and then in Ali, and then in Muawiyah, generally Hassan as well, and the son of Ali, Muawiyah. There are 4 undisputed caliphs, for them known as the Khulafa Rashidun, but they generally also add Imam Hassan, making it 5. Khulafa Rashidun for 30 years. Khulafa Rashidun. Why do some not consider Muawiyah? Because Muawiyah was of the Umayyads who during the Abbasid period rejected Muawiyah. But some who are today Salafists also consider Muawiyah as the 6th caliph of the Rashidun. There is a difference among Sunnis. Well, so among Sunnis, there is a lot of division. But generally, 99.9% of Shia are of the 12 Imams. Those whom we consider correct Shia, the Ismailis, who are of 6 Imams, we do not consider correct Shia. We consider them deviated. Although they also have a significant number, they are several million. But the majority of Shia, who are between 300 million to 400 million, are like this, followers of the 12 Imams. Sunnis are the majority of Muslims. Out of 2 billion Muslims, about 6 billion are Sunnis. That means 80% of Muslims, 70% of Muslims are Sunnis. The Shia are 25 to 30, or some say 20% of Muslims. So the Sunnis are from 4 schools of Islamic jurisprudence, which are from the founders they call Imams. First is Abu Hanifa, who was about 150 years after the Prophet of Islam, almost 130 years after the Prophet of Islam. They call him Imam Abu Hanifa. Those who follow him are called Hanafita, who are about 1 billion Muslims that follow Abu Hanifa. For example, Pakistan, Afghanistan, some places in Kurdistan, Indonesia, Malaysia, Turkey, Turks. Central Asia, many follow Hanifa in India. After that, there are 3 different schools that are a minority among Sunnis.
Shafi'ita, Hanbalita, Malikita.
Or rather, first is
Shafi'ita, Malikita,
and the least is Hanbali. From the Hanbalis come the Wahhabis. From the Wahhabis comes Bin Laden, Al-Qaeda, Saudi Arabia, and the dangerous. So the Shafi'is in Egypt, in Kurdistan, and in some places in Pakistan as well. They are a minority compared to the Hanafis. Then there are the Malikis. During the conquest of Andalusia, they followed Malik. They had the Muwatta of Malik ibn Anas. The Malikis and Malik were students of Imam al-Sadiq from the Shia school, the 6th Imam. All of them are students of Imam Sadiq, the Imams of the Sunni school. This is 2 centuries after the Prophet of Islam. This story is very interesting, one that many people have never been told, right? So there are the Shafi'is, the Malikis. As we have said, in North Africa, during the time of Andalusia, they were Malikis. Generally in Africa, in Sudan, Somalia, they are Malikis. And the Hanbalis, who are generally concentrated in Saudi Arabia, they are very few in Jordan, in Saudi Arabia. The Hanbalis are those who have a literal interpretation of the sacred text very well. So, these are the 4 schools of jurisprudence. The 4 Sunni schools of jurisprudence come from one master. The master is
Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam.
The 6th Imam in the Shia school means that all Sunnis in jurisprudence are students of the Shia. That is why the Shia always surpassed the Sunnis in knowledge and wisdom, even though they were a minority. But a minority that always leads in wisdom. The governments were generally Sunni. The governors always oppressed the Shia. The Shia, before the Islamic Revolution, even before the arrival of the Safavids in Iran, were in the minority. When the Safavids arrive in Iran, the Shia will become the majority because the government will be Shia. Many times in Iran, there was a Shia government in power even before the Safavids. The Shia have a character that is generally revolutionary, very revolutionary. More than 3,000 Shia religious leaders were martyred because the Shia say that Islam instructs us to reject oppressors and uphold justice. They take the example of Imam Hussein, the 3rd Imam, who is the grandson of the Prophet of Islam, who was martyred by the Umayyads, Sunnis. So they take the example of Imam Hussein and say, we must reject all the oppressors of the world. That is the idea of the Islamic Revolution of Iran. But the Sunnis, taking the example of the companions who all submitted before Abu Bakr, Omar and Osman, say, we must obey the Muslim governor, whether he is an oppressor or just. So in Saudi Arabia, they consider it forbidden to rise up against the tyrannical king of Al Saud. In Egypt, Al-Azhar is submissive and obedient to the president who came to power, a military president today who came to power through a coup. Everyone is submissive to him. They say, we must obey whoever takes command in the Islamic territory. So you are going to stage a coup in a Sunni territory, they will obey you. For a clearer example, they are like Catholics. They obey the king. The Shia are rebels, as the Shia do not exist in the church. They should be seekers of justice, truth, and brave. It says,
Hayhat min nazillah.
We accept martyrdom but do not accept humiliation, which is why the closest to the revolutionaries of Latin America are the Shia. That is why you will see an alliance between Iran and many revolutionaries in Latin America. But there are many other differences. For example, in the way Shia pray, the Shia do not have Hebrew words in their prayers, unlike the Sunnis, because they rejected the family of the Prophet. For instance, the book of Bukhari censured Imam Ali, the wisest of the companions of the Messenger of God. And in the entire book of Bukhari, there are no more than 10 or 20 narrations of Imam Ali. But many former Jews, former rabbis, are in the book of
Bukhari.
like
Abu Hurairah,
who was a student of a Jewish rabbi,
like Umar ibn Khattab, like Abdullah ibn Umar,
who were students of
Ka'b al-Ahbar.
the great rabbi. So in the Sunni tradition, they are greatly affected by the rabbinic tradition that infiltrated at the beginning of Islam. Like
Abdullah ibn Salam, like Ka'b al-Ahbar, like Tamim Dari,
who was a Christian monk who said he converted to Islam. So, the Sunni tradition is greatly affected by the people of the scripture, which is the Jewish Christian. The Shia school has always been critical of them, but the Sunnis, the only way to respond to the Shia is that they killed them. Throughout history, Sunnis largely disbelieved the Shia. Many times they had coexistence. But many Sunni governors persecuted the Shia, like
Saladino,
who persecuted the Shia in Syria and Lebanon. He killed the Shia. Like in Saudi Arabia today, where they kill Yemenis, because Yemenis are largely Shia, they are
Zaydiyas.
So you will see this: Sunnis come to power, persecute the Shia, kill the Shia, and consider it mandatory. Why? Because they say the Shia criticize the companions of the Messenger of God, calling them hypocrites, because in the Holy Quran there is a chapter,
Suratul Munafiqun,
that talks about hypocrites. The Shia say, look, some companions of the Prophet of Islam were hypocrites because the Holy Quran indicates it. The Sunnis say, no, no, no. You do not have the right to criticize the companions. Whoever criticizes the companions of the Prophet of Islam, wanting to analyze the history of Islam, the only response we will give is the sword. We will kill you. That is why you will see that the takfiriyas, those who declare others as non-believers, are among the Sunnis, not among the Shias. So the Shia do not declare others as non-believers. We say the Sunnis are Muslims, although we have some criticisms about their conduct. Like the Hebrew word amin, which in prayer the Sunnis say is influenced by the rabbis, we say we do not have that Hebrew word in our prayers. Well, there are other differences, but the Sunnis during the time of Abu Bakr and Omar eliminated the area of the Prophet of Islam. For example, Omar ibn al-Khattab, when the Messenger of God wanted to write his will, Omar, he prohibited the Prophet Muhammad from writing his will. He said, that Prophet is already delirious. He is saying whims, nonsense. He did not allow the Prophet of Islam to write his will. This is called
Raziyatu Yawm al-Khamis,
the calamity of Thursday. And many times they disobeyed the Prophet of Islam. So the Sunnis, who are they really? They are followers of the companions of the Prophet of Islam. But not all the companions, no, the rebellious companions. Those who rejected the Prophet of Islam and rejected Imam Ali. Those who later went to persecute the Prophet's family and killed Imam Ali, killed Fatima, the Prophet's daughter, pursued Hassan and Hussein, and killed the entire family of the Prophet of Islam. They follow Abdullah ibn Ahbar, who is the father of the Abbasids, who killed 7 Imams. So there is the difference. The Shia are more intellectual, taking intellect as a source to interpret the sacred text. The Sunnis are more orthodox to the tradition of the caliphs, of the governors. Less revolutionary, but stronger against the Shia. They say, we have to make an alliance with the Jews, with Islam, but the most dangerous are the Shia. That is what they say, which is why they largely supported ISIS. The Sunnis supported ISIS in Syria. You will see in Latin America, the mosques, many mosques became like recruitment centers for ISIS soldiers. They sent soldiers from many mosques in low-income areas of Latin America to Syria, supporting the terrorists. ISIS, the Shia, did not. The Shia. So who do they support? They support Yemen. They support the liberation movement in Iraq, which is called Hashd al-Sha'b, a popular Iraqi resistance movement. The Shia support the resistance movement in Lebanon, which seeks to liberate Palestine, called Hezbollah. They support all Sunni groups that seek to liberate the Holy Land. They support the Fatimid groups in Afghanistan. They support the Zaynabiyun, who are the resistance group in Pakistan. What is the idea of the Shia? Listen carefully. The Sunnis are largely allies of the United States in the region. They say, the United States is an advanced country, a cultured country. We must ally with them. How the caliphs made alliances with Christians and Jews. The Shia say, we must be autonomous, self-sufficient, and we will not accept the new colonization with the center being the United States and Israel and the Zionists. So the Shia, even. The Islamic Revolution has two very strong slogans against the West.
مرگ بر آمریکا، مرگ بر اسرائیل.
Always in the Shia demonstrations in Iran, in Lebanon, in Iraq, in Yemen, even in Afghanistan, even in Pakistan, they have two slogans. The curse for the government of the United States, the curse for Israel. That is like the undeniable slogan of the Shia. The Shia are very strong. From them comes
Qasem Soleimani.
From them comes
Said Hassan Nasrallah.
But you will see among the Sunnis that they say, well, we are going to negotiate with Israel in the peace pact. Although there are many resistance groups also among the Sunnis, but they are fighting among themselves. For example, there are Sunni resistance groups called Hamas in Palestine.
Jihad Islami
is also in Palestine. Fatah in Palestine. What if there is a fight among them? Why don't they have leadership? Listen carefully, because those in command, some consider him to be the successor of the Prophet because he came to power and has the authority. Some others say, no, that does not resemble the caliphs at all. In the Shia school, leadership is unique. What does it mean? For example, the Shia always followed the Imams when they were alive, up to the 12th Imam, and then to the representatives of the Imams called the Ulama, the scholars. And today the scholar in charge is called
Wali Faqih, named Sayyid Ali Khamenei.
So the Shia follow
Ayatollah Khamenei.
So leadership in the Shia school is unique. In the Sunni school, it is not. There is already a lot of fighting, a lot of disturbance. That is why the Sunnis, although they are the majority, are the weakest in government, the most lost in government. That is why there is a large wave of Sunnis converting to Shia around the world. Even in Latin America, many mosques in Latin America are already afraid to receive
Sheikh Qomi.
What is Sheikh Qomi's fault? Sheikh Qomi talks about resistance. Sheikh Qomi talks about that. Sheikh Qomi is Shia. What is the problem? If they are false, if they are liars, the Shia are unbelievers, why are you going to be afraid? They allow a Christian, a Jew to go to their mosques, but they will always be very afraid of the Shia, even though we say the Sunni brothers are our brothers. To conclude, the Shia have many attractions. Why? First, the path is intellectual, and also it is very emotional. That is to say, it has a lot of emotion, a lot of enthusiasm. The Shia have rituals that mourn for Imam Hussein, which is quite attractive. It will awaken love in you. It's something that you, if you haven't cried for Imam Hussein, don't know what I'm talking about. It is the most flavorful, sweetest religious ritual, which is to cry for Imam Hussein. And you say, it's crazy to cry. I said yes. It is a spiritual purification with a prayer called the weeping of Hussein. And how is it so? You have no experience, you don't know. But through weeping for Hussein, we Shia say, we are preparing the ground. The hearts that weep for the oppressed Hussein will be brave hearts that can prepare the world's ground for the coming of Imam Mahdi, the Savior. So the Shia have a ritual called Arba'in. More than 20-30 million Shia go to the shrine of Imam Hussein, making the pact of Imam Hussein. If we weren't in Karbala to support you on that day, here we are ready to give our lives for Imam Mahdi. All Shia are very revolutionary. There are many other differences that I want to summarize the answer in. May God bless you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.